I found this on the web for who is the top ranked recruit in the country. Check it out.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Unclouded Recruit, where we get reviews from former student athletes about their experience at their universities. Let go. Welcome back to another episode of Unclouded Recruit. We're on episode 9. We got a real special guest. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Oh yeah, AJ Greathouse, born and raised Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Been all over, blessed.
Okay. So tell us when you started playing football. What age was that?
Well, coming up with my background, my whole family pretty much played sports, played football. My dad actually played at U of A, and his my grandfather played at Arizona State University. So I was introduced to football, age 4, pretty much. Kind of well-rounded though. They wanted me to be involved with everything, so I played, Little League baseball and soccer. And then track, but once I got older, had a little bit more influence on what you're doing, I got out of track because conditioning and all that running and stuff, around that 100 and that 200 and 4x1, that's not it. You feel me? So, but no, it helped me along the way for sure, just being well-rounded and everything like that. But introduced at 5 years old, been running. Had the dream of, making it all the way, just working, putting in the time, being accustomed to, the principles that football instilled in you.
Okay, so AJ, take me to high school. High school football. A lot of people sleep on Arizona football. But tell me a little bit about Arizona and football and your experience in high school.
No, yeah, Arizona's definitely slept on for sure. Actually, since going to college in California, there's a whole rivalry. They got SoCal, NorCal, and then Arizona dude coming to California, they got a lot to say. You know what I mean? But as far as my high school experience, I went to a school called Hamilton High School in Arizona, Chandler, Arizona, and it was actually one of the top programs in the nation when I decided to go there. I think going into my freshman year, they were ranked 3rd nationally. We were undefeated for 4 or 5 years consecutively, and that was a big choice. A big reason why I went there. Going into high school, playing Pop Warner and everything like that. Little League, I'm thinking, I'm one of the best in the state. So going into high school, I want to compete with the best. So make me better as a person. And just as a competitor, as an athlete, and just being surrounded by the top level, because I always had aspirations to go Division I and everything. So I feel like competing with the best, that's the best route to take. And I live in Phoenix, Arizona. For those people that aren't really accustomed to Arizona, it's about 35 minutes from Hamilton High School. So my parents, I give a lot of credit to them. Waking up in the mornings, getting me to practice before school even started. And just being dedicated to my vision, and supporting me through that process because they understood how much football meant to me, okay. And it still does, But yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what was your first offer, and when did you really know that you could make it to the Division I level?
Man, I always knew inside that I was blessed with the talent to make it there, and I knew how it worked. That was something that I could control. But my story of getting Division I was very unique. In my eyes, a lot of players I was surrounded by being at a top school, and having you do Little League and 7-on-7 tournaments. Like I was on a 7-on-7 league tournament called those guys were top recruits in our state. Came together on the team and competed against other teams across the country and stuff. So you're always looking at different talent. You're always comparing yourself to where you are in the standings and different things like that. I really, going into my senior year, going into high school, my dad was a running back. So, growing up Pop Warner, I played running back and receiver and quarterback. I was always an offensive player. I played defense too, but my heart was at running back for sure. You know what I'm saying? So, going into high school, I'm choosing these different schools and figuring out how I would fit in the future. And going to a school like Hamilton, understanding how the varsity offense was run, they actually ran the triple option. Which, being a running back, that's not really too appealing to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you run it sideways. Nobody's going to recruit you to run the I formation in college, coming out of running the wishbone, or not wishbone, the triple option. So I was like, that doesn't really make sense for me. So I kind of, going into freshman year, I was playing receiver, and was having some success there and had fun. I came into a program where I was the only one from the west side pretty much, and a lot of these players already had known each other for sure. Different Pop Warner. Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. A lot of the guys that I call my brothers now, they kind of knew each other going from middle school up into high school and stuff like that. So I was a new guy on the block trying to just, assert myself in and just be real, keep it, build relationships with people, and just be a part of the team and contribute. So I was playing receiver, and then getting into sophomore year, I actually was going into sophomore season because at my school. So to tell you about my school a little bit more to give you context. It was the number one school in the state. So typically you don't even really play varsity until your junior year. You know what I mean? Like you really don't. Like there's probably one player out of our whole freshman class that played varsity before junior year. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it was. And you didn't even get to really play both ways because they wanted us to be fresh and make sure our legs were fresh for our position because we had enough guys. We had enough talent to provide a starting position for every position. So going into my sophomore year, I was still playing receiver and like a little halfback Z receiver slot. And going into fall camp was starting and everything, and I popped my hip flexor going into in fall camp, which is very vital to the how the season plays out. So I had to sit down for like 4 to 8 weeks or I think it was like 6 weeks I had to sit out and just let it rehab, just let it heal and stuff like that. So that kind of put me back. And then I'm thinking like going into my junior year, like I ended up playing my junior or my senior or my sophomore year, at receiver and everything, but it wasn't like how, planned that year to go. So going into my junior year, everybody's making that transition to varsity. And I'm like, okay, looking at the offense, looking at who's going to be, just being realistic, you know what I mean? Like, I don't just jump into something unless I really understand what's going on. So going into that varsity year, I'm thinking like, who's the quarterbacks? Who's already here at the receiver spots, and what is it looking like? How would my future fit in? You know what I mean? And understanding what that situation looked like, not to highlight too many things about it. I thought I would benefit more so if I switched to defense and have a better opportunity of actually making it to that next level based upon like being able to control my own opportunities. I feel like as a corner. Coming out of high school, I mean, you're in control of your situation. You make your own plays. You're dependent on your defensive line and other people around you, of course. But when it comes to one-on-one matchups, you make your own plays. So I like being in control of my situation and taking on that one-on-one battle. And that's where I kind of changed my position and everything. And I had a lot of talk to my dad and people around me, just making sure that was the right decision. Because I mean, up until that my junior year, I was really all offense. I love scoring the ball. That's something I'll always miss. You know what I'm saying? Like, but no, it was a sacrifice, but it definitely paid off. And then I mean, going to high school, or what was the original question again?
Like, how was your high school experience, and like, what was your first offer, your first college offer?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, going into senior year, I'm starting that corner. We're coming off of a championship, actually. One thing I'll never forget, unfortunate, I lost my state championship in my senior year. So that's something that I got a chip on my shoulder about. But just being a part of that type of camaraderie, and just team environment and stuff like that was very, very beneficial to me. But coming out of my senior year, I had some D1 AA offers. I'm trying to think like Weber State and these different these small schools and stuff like that. And just me and who I was, believing in myself, I thought I was bigger than that. So I didn't want to just commit to a school and not have my future really be what it wanted to be and potential that I had. So I actually going into my senior year in Arizona, we had junior colleges at the time where you could go, and we had rules where you could actually. I was still enrolled in high school as a senior, and played spring football at the junior college called Mesa Community College, in Arizona.
Yeah.
So because I didn't have the offers and everything, in my mind, with talking with my family and everything, I was going to actually go to a junior college right after high school because I thought that was the next step for me to ultimately get to where I want to be, So I decided to enroll there, and my spring semester of senior year, the last semester, I enrolled in one class that gave me eligibility to practice and be a part of the team with MCC. And when I was there, I mean, I was blessed, and I had coaches like Coach Ryan Felker, he's the head coach. Coach Jones was the defensive coordinator, and Coach Hudson, the DB coach. Those are the three coaches that ultimately believed in me and gave me the opportunity, going forward. And when I got there, I was, just turned 18. And if you know about me in JUCO, you're playing against grown men. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're there against people that are coming from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. Everybody has a different story. And I'm just this young guy just coming in, trying to be a part of the team, trying to showcase my talent. And I excelled. I had a good spring ball. I was making plays, and I became a leader on the team. and my coaches saw that in me. And I mean, it's something that I'm forever grateful for. They believed in me so much to where I had college interests from Cal, U of A, ASU, and some other schools. And they actually, Cal Berkeley pulled the trigger and offered me for that fall semester going in, so I wouldn't even have to attend the JUCO. So that's something that people don't even know about my story as well. Where I mean, the coaches at MCC, they would have benefited from me staying and being their star, DB at their school, and ultimately I would have had probably more opportunities, more offers if I stayed at JUCO. But an institution like UC Berkeley came. It was a blessing that I couldn't even imagine. And understanding how prominent the institution is, and just what it can actually do to influence my life, and just learning and being surrounded by people that are like-minded and just at that level. It was just a different culture that I was exposed to. And it was a huge blessing. But going back to those coaches though, I didn't even play at that school for that fall season, but they believed in me so much and who I was as a person, and they gave the green light to these coaches, which ultimately led to the offer at UC Berkeley, and I accepted that going into that summer, going into fall 2014-15 season.
That's very unusual. Like, you typically don't hear people's stories going like that. Like, you enroll in college still as a senior in high school, and you're practicing with them. You're going through the process, and so you juggle. You got a lot on your plate, and then out of nowhere, you get a blessing. You get an offer, and that JUCO could have been selfish and say, "Hey, stay here another semester or stay out throughout the football season, blah blah blah," and kind of absorb and use you a little bit. But instead of doing that, it's like, "Hey, go do your thing, man. Go to Cal Berkeley, go ball out." Go to this prestige university and do your thing. And I think that's very, very rare that a lot of coaches or I've never heard that story before. Like, hey, you know what I mean? It's different.
I'm saying it's been a blessing.
And so you get the offer to go to Cal Berkeley on a full ride. So you get there in the fall semester. Like, how was your take us through that being a freshman at one of the top public schools in the country?
Yeah, it was definitely a transition, bro. One thing I've been blessed growing up. My parents were very much involved, making sure that I always stay on top of my academics. So that was one thing that I was blessed, because when I went to the JUCO, if I didn't have my grades aligned, and I wasn't ready to even receive that offer, it wouldn't have benefited me. You know what I mean? So I was blessed to be in a position to where I could actually receive that. And but going to an institution like that, the great thing about it, they have so many resources that helped us with that transition, because they understood as well that we are athletes. We're all coming from all walks of life, and going to an institution like Berkeley is not going to just be a walk in the park. It's a very high demand, high level of just execution and a lot of things. And just how we represent ourselves. That was one thing that I kind of already knew, but just going to a prestigious institution like that, you represent more than yourself, and you understand that to a high degree, So you try to just soak it all in and just be a part of, what their mission is as an institution. But it was a culture shock. It was cool. I grew up in Arizona, where it's pretty much you have your black people, you got your Mexican people, and then you got your white people, and it's conservative on some sides, conservative, and then you got, just different demographics that live together. Going to Berkeley, it was the most diverse place I had ever even thought of. I had friends from Norway, from Greece, from Nepal, from Africa. I had friends from everywhere, you know what I'm saying? And these are all just great people who are coming here to receive an education and trying to be a part of, this society. And it was powerful though, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that, me moving down to South Florida, man, just being from the South, man, he's not that diverse, man. You're either black or white or Hispanic, and we live in different subsets of the city. So it's not that diverse. Coming to South Florida, I can kind of, contest to what you're saying, seeing people from Cuba, Jamaica, this and that.
You froze up a little bit.
Can you hear me now? My bad. So, just seeing all that diversity at Cal Berkeley, man, I definitely know that was a culture shock. So, take me through the day in life of a student athlete there. How was the coaches? How was the experience? How was the professors? How was the tutors? How was that environment for you?
Yeah, well, it's a lot. Being able, that's one of the good things about our current times being this pandemic, It's the first time I've been blessed to just sit back and reflect on, what's happened in my life so far. Being young, being 24 years old, trying to start the future. But the culture, just everything there. there's a few dynamics that are involved, but I mean, one being an athlete on the campus of an institution known for academics is it's a whole topic right there. You know what I'm saying? How you're perceived, what they expect from you and different things like that. But as far as, I mean, just receptiveness, I mean, I think there was a good culture. A lot of people loved athletics and everything like that. Because it was so focused on the academics, though, I think we were, and being in the Bay Area, the Bay Area is unlike a lot of places. Like, I mean, we got so many. There's just so much going on. I mean, that's the one thing I loved about it because the energy there was unmatched.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got all these different pro leagues. You got Oracle Arena with the Warriors. You got the A's. You got San Francisco Giants. You got Oakland Raiders. I mean, you got all these. You got Stanford out there. You got all these different, big companies, big institutions that are out there. So Berkeley can be overpowered. So that was one thing that we dealt with as athletes at Berkeley. But I mean, everybody kind of understood like just the culture. Like everybody was peaceful. It was very liberal. It was very non-judgmental. As far as like the people, just explaining like campus life and just professors. Like we had professors, honestly though, just because it was an academic institution. Some kind of had a stereotype to athletes and different things like that. They didn't know that we had been up since 5 o'clock, and they do, but they don't really, understand the magnitude of, all the priorities we have and all the responsibilities we have as athletes, So they see you when you show up at 8 o'clock and you ran down the hill because, I mean, Berkeley's it's like on a mountain. So, like, you're running down the hill to class and you're probably sweating because you just took a hot shower after, running for an hour and working out for an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to lock in mentally, and try to be the smartest person in the room just like everybody else, And then, I mean, to add to that as well, being the black representation at Berkeley, like there's a lot of times where I was one of the only or the only, black person in my class, So I took pride in that as well. Just trying to represent us, and represent myself, represent my family, and understand that I belong here. Because that was one thing that I understood as well, going to an institution like that. Sometimes athletes are like, you're here just because you have talent, you can do this. Like, it's like, no, like, I'm low key, like,
I'm
almost like probably smarter than you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But it's okay. I understand, like, perception and everything like that. But it kind of just fueled, like, most of us, and it made us even tighter as a family as we kind of navigated through everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I know you made a transition to another institution. So can you kind of like at a high level talk about that? What happened and what led you to, make a transition? Because it sounds like Cal Berkeley is a great institution, and I kind of know off talking to a lot of people that went there outside of you that Cal Berkeley has this weird little niche about you transitioning to another school, and talk about that a little bit. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, during my 3 years there, because to give you kind of backdrop, I was there for 3 years, and I ended up transferring to Abilene Christian University in Texas after graduating, and I'll tell you how I graduated and all that. I'll tell you why, all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, there was a big tension between while I was there from 2014-17, big tension between the athletes and the coaching staff. We were under Sonny Dykes, who he was our head coach and everything. But I mean, it just wasn't. You expect coaches, especially when you're as a student athlete, you're coming here and you're devoting, you're giving your time and your mind to, being a part of this program and giving your best and trying to produce and trying to contribute to the team. And then, I mean, as athletes, a lot of us didn't really feel like we were appreciated, or especially like from, white coaching staff to black coaching staff, we were kind of, it's a friction there, and there wasn't too much communication on the relationship side of things. So it kind of just put like a friction there, and a lot of people, like, you can have all the talent in the world. Like, I mean, I was blessed to be there while Jared Goff was our quarterback. I mean, everybody knows who Jared Goff is now. You know what I mean? But we had the number one. I mean, one of the top. I don't know the exact number, but we were one of the top offenses in the state, in the country. And all these people. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you don't really like the culture, if you don't really like who you're playing for, you're not gonna really get the best out of your athletes. And I'm a strong believer in that. And we had all the talent in the world, but we just didn't really vibe with them, and I was there for 3 years. I ended up actually coming to give you a backdrop on, like, I was transferring out because the culture there with the coaching staff just didn't mesh. Like, I'm telling you, a lot of people weren't happy. There was a lot going on. Like, we had a way stronger relationship with our strength coach than any coach on our actual team, actual staff. Because Damon Harrington, I mean, he trained everybody. He built us. He put discipline in people. He pushed us like to a different level, you know, and we appreciated him for that. But I mean, we had captains like our middle linebacker, who, I mean, he's starting at middle linebacker of our team, you know, and he's dictating everything on defense. He grad transferred to U of A just because he didn't get along with the coaches as well. We had Brendan Scarlett, who's actually playing for the Texans right now, has started games and everything, is like very important on the team, and he transferred to Stanford just because he didn't get along with the coaches as well, and he wanted a better opportunity for himself. You know, so I mean, like it wasn't just people that weren't playing or not receiving certain playing time. It was like people who were very involved, you know what I'm saying, that did not like what was going on, you know, and it just kind of reflects on what happened, you know, as our team went on. But yeah, I was there for 3 years. My coaching staff was leaving my junior year, so I actually had to give you more information too. I had an injury to my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder and tore my labrum. So this is going into my junior year, what would have been my junior year. And we actually had a trip coming up. The whole team's going to Australia, which was dope, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I didn't go. I actually sacrificed everything. I had surgery on my shoulder so I could rehabilitate for the next upcoming season because it kept popping out. And I just, like, you know, I couldn't just manage to keep playing like that. I wanted to be at the best that I could be, healthy and everything like that. So I was like, okay. And I was a true freshman, so I didn't redshirt yet. So I was like, let me get myself healthy this year and then come back next year and be able to really produce. So I took my surgery. There was a lot of friction on that as well. Like, coaches didn't, like, want me to have the surgery, and I keep telling them, I'm like, bro, like, you know, it's like a whole battle. It's like the player versus what they want out of you versus me trying to protect my own health. You know what I mean? Like, and there's been a lot of, you know, different situations with that I've seen over the years, different athletes trying to protect themselves instead of the, you know, coaching program trying to get the most out of the athlete when they're not ready, you know? So I try to protect myself in that situation, and there was a lot of friction with that. And then I learned that my coaching staff was actually about to be leaving after this year, after 2017 year. So I was like, for me to be, because I was looking to transfer when I wasn't, like, after the surgery, I could just see how the relationships were going and everything like that. So I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense for me to really come to an institution like Berkeley and not get my degree. So that became, like, the forefront of my focus while rehabilitating and getting my shoulder right and working out and everything like that. I was taking 6 classes each semester. I took like 5 classes during the summer. I think I took, like, when I calculated, it was like 17 classes within like 9 months or something like that, like that I took to graduate. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy, bro. Crazy. Like I still don't know how I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like I really don't, like, cause I'm smart, but I'm not like no straight A student. What I did was just put the time in and just focus. You know what I mean? Like something anybody can do. So I was grateful for that, and then what I did just transferred to Abilene Christian University and was there, you know, blessed with a new opportunity to play ball and further my education, get my master's degree and everything like that. So, yeah, I went to ACU 2017.
Okay. So you're making a transition from a top-tier program to maybe a lower-end program at the Division I FCS level. So take me through your thought process when you get to campus and, you know, tell a little bit about your story when you got there.
Yeah, it was definitely a transition. I mean, going from Berkeley to being like, Berkeley was like the most liberal school you could probably go to. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we had protests on campus, we had the hippies, we had like all different types of people. You know what I'm saying? That's what I loved about it though. But then transferring to Abilene Christian, which was predominantly white, and it's a Christian school. Yeah. A Christian school. Cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it was completely different. Being in a small town, I mean, the Bay Area was millions of people. Going to Abilene, I think it was the population like 140,000 or something like that people. So it was just completely different, you know. But the biggest thing I took away from it was my understanding of like how the school was really being run. You know what I mean? Like coming from Berkeley and having all these different programs in place to help the athlete, you know, academically and actually like in the training room, you know. Like we all like ACU has the same number of football players as Cal did, you know, but the training staff was double the size. You know, we had 5, 6 strength coaches compared to 1.5. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the time that players and students are given, you know, is completely different. You know, so that was the biggest thing that I understood. And then just like the team atmosphere, getting these people, like having that Christian, perception and that Christian tie to athletics was a different dynamic as well.
Yeah.
Because you got all these people that are playing football. Football is one of the most cutthroat sports there is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got dogs out there, and it's like I'm a Christian myself, but it's just different how they tied it in. It was an adjustment for me for sure.
Yeah.
And then it was like learning about these people who are teaching all this Christian stuff to us, and then it's like it was just a conflict sometimes. You know what I mean? As I understand people, But yeah, I mean, I was blessed for the opportunity for sure. And once I got there, I was playing. I came in as a safety. I was like 208. That was like the strongest and fastest I had ever been. Like I had worked that whole summer leading up into coming into that new opportunity for me at that school. You know what I'm saying? So I was at my healthiest peak body shape. And then got there. You could tell me you were my teammate while I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like I was competing and I became like the best DB I felt like in my eyes on the team. And when we get to the first game, I knew I was coming from a new school, but my reps in the game did not, correlate with what I was doing in practice at all.
Yeah.
So I was talking with the coaches, trying to figure out what was going on, what I can do to get myself in a better situation. And they kind of kept beating around the bush and different things. So I was just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm putting in the work, I'm making plays, I'm leading, I'm being accountable, and what am I supposed to do? So as an athlete, I kind of felt powerless in a sense. So I was getting my reps, I stayed a team player like I always do, and, I didn't complain, publicly or anything like that. So just kept doing my job. We get to the fifth game, I believe it was fifth or sixth game. Who were we playing? I think we had... Who was the team we were playing? I forget what team we were playing. But I was about to get my first start.
Yeah.
And actually, so I was at safety when I first got there, but they moved me to linebacker because I was always like aggressive, whatever, good tackler and stuff. And going from like D1 to D1 AA, like players are a little bit smaller, So to them, I was a big safety. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm really a normal ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but to y'all, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm bigger. Like, but I mean, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing at safety, but. For the team, I was open to moving my position, and I moved to Sam linebacker, which is outside linebacker, and was actually given a fair shot to compete and everything, and was about to start my first game as a Sam linebacker. And in practice, Thursday practice, when we were going through a goal line, I actually had a teammate who was he was on the scout team when they were running the plays for us and everything on defense, and it was an offensive lineman. He fell, like when I watched the play, he fell with little contact and like literally fell right into my ankle, and I snapped my fibula and my tibula, and my life changed in that moment. My life changed in that moment for the better. I feel like
Yeah.
now that I have time to reflect on it and I've just understood all the different circumstances in my life, like it's been a blessing in disguise for sure. But yeah, I mean, life changed in that moment. I had to start a recovery process, and that was one of the biggest things that I'm getting a call. That was one of the biggest things that I understood as well. Coming from a big institution to a small institution, like I had a traumatic, surgery that I had on my ankle, and I didn't have the actual support that I needed to actually get healthy. The time, the attention, focus, being given direction. Like I'm an athlete. Like if I wanted to become a trainer and know everything about how to heal myself, I would do that. You know what I'm saying? But as an athlete, we're completely dependent on our training staff to get us through that process. So I didn't feel that I had sufficient help, for sure. And as I was coming back, so this was when I transferred. I graduated in 3 years, so I had 2 years of eligibility left. So when I got to ACU, I had my 2 years. It was technically my junior, or it would have been my redshirt junior year. So I got hurt. I'm going into next year, and this is going to be my last year. It's my senior year. In my mind, I'm a proven player on this team, and all I'm trying to do is get healthy so I can contribute this season. You know what I'm saying? So having the surgery that I had and the injury, we get to spring ball. I mean, granted, that whole time, I didn't even go home. I sacrificed going home for winter break. I stayed out there and was doing treatment and trying to do everything I could to rehab my ankle. You know what I mean? And thinking that was what was best for me. So we get to spring ball, and I'm still not healthy like I want to be. And we get there, and coaches are trying to force me to play, and I'm I know my body. You know what I'm saying? I know when I'm gonna be healthy, or I know that I'm not healthy now. I don't know when that's gonna be, but for me to be a senior, it doesn't make sense for me to come out here when I haven't even ran full speed yet, and they're trying to get me to scrimmage in a full speed scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Like these are coaches that were really trying to push me to scrimmage in a full all out tackle scrimmage when I hadn't even ran a full speed yet, coming back from my ankle. I'm like, in my mind, that don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I need to come out here and like show you that I can still play. It's like I know, like I can play. Just let me get healthy so I can perform at that level that you're used to seeing me at. You know what I mean? Like, but if you're trying to push me in premature, like if I get hurt, I have to protect myself, because if I get hurt, like nothing, life is gonna go on. The team is still gonna have the season next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I have to make sure that I'm healthy, and I have to look out for myself in that moment. And a lot of just tension came from that. Like coaches, I'm telling you, you were there. Like you saw my experience while I was there. I mean, I was a leader the whole time. I was always around the team. I tried to build relationships with everybody. I tried to influence extra workouts, different things that I had learned as an athlete growing up, like just trying to be a part of the team. And I mean, coaches kind of just turned their back in a sense, the way I looked at it. So we get to where we're all the way through the summer, and I'm still going through rehab, and I'm still dealing with these trainers that are giving us, part-time attention. You know what I mean? Like I'm coming back from breaking my leg, and we have 6 a.m.s that I'm required to be at, but we have no training staff and no water. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, where, like, I couldn't even get taped, but I'm supposed to be out here running full speed and change the direction and different things, and then if I hold myself out, then I get frowned upon, so it's like, it just was a lose-lose situation in a sense that I felt like. So going into the senior year, it was kind of crazy. I mean, I was still trying to work, I was trying to compete. I wasn't fully healthy yet, but I was trying to still get on the field, because I was still better, even at my 85%, I was better than the people that had playing in front of me. Because I mean, it was evident, and I was still trying to get on the field. I was trying to sacrifice my body for the team, and knowing that this was my last year, I was going to put everything out there, So that's exactly what I was trying to do, and I just didn't get like the support from my coaches, in a sense, and it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It was crazy. I tried to just keep moving, but it taught me a lot in those moments, though. It taught me a lot.
Okay. So, AJ, it sounds like you made that transition from Cal Berkeley to ACU. You hit a lot of diversity. And the one thing I'm about to ask you and touch on is you made that transition. You hit a little bit of diversity. Things weren't going as planned. Everybody has dreams in the NFL. The one thing that I really, truly hate about certain institutions, such as the NCAA, is the fact that sometimes we get viewed as black males and black athletes as all we can do is just, run and jump high and play these sports, and then once you're done for those 4 or 5 years, that's it.
You have no value.
Value. So how did you take your situation and turn some good out of it? Because a lot of people will view you as, oh, AJ went to college, he didn't get picked up, he didn't get drafted, so his career in college and everything he learned was just useless because that's all he can do. How do you feel about that type of point of view?
No, yeah, I mean, I'm blessed to where I'll share like a real moment that kind of defined who I am as well. But I've been blessed to grow up with my parents. Both my parents are still married to this day, and I know that's not a reality for a lot of people. So I understand that. That's a huge blessing that got me to where I am. But they've always made me understand that I've always been more than an athlete. I always knew that football would end one day, regardless if I went to the NFL. So I always wanted to be well-rounded and know more than just football. So when the day came that it ended for me, and I knew I wasn't in control of that decision anymore, if I could even play. Because I tried to apply for a medical red shirt, but that wasn't going to happen with the people that were supposed to help me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I knew that it was coming to an end. I'm like, okay, when I look back, I mean, I've been playing ball since I was 5 years old. The positives that I take from football, which have created me into who I am, I mean, is the discipline, to hold yourself accountable and to hold others, to be a leader. I mean, there's a lot of things. Just from work ethic, working harder than other people, and then just holding yourself like to a higher standard. Because football, and like one of the biggest things football too, it's helped me like understand that we came together for a common goal. All walks of life, all these different people. I have friends from everywhere. We all came together for a common purpose, and that's something that I try to spread, energy towards in our society today. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, going back to what was your original question again?
So how do you
just to retrain my thought?
The point of view of people have on black athletes and African Americans, period, is that all you can do is just jump this high and run this fast, and if you don't make it to the league, your life's over. Because I've seen a lot of guys that even on both teams, a lot of teams I've been on, they devote their whole entire life to football, and they don't learn no other skills. They don't learn about real estate. They don't learn about different ways to start a company, and just creative ways to just expand their knowledge on different topics. And they devote all their time, because that's what coaches love. They love to suck you in and give me 110%. You think about the NFL, watch the NFL game. It's kind of like a cult, honestly. I mean, they really train you up to just think about football. They don't want you to think about nothing else. And almost to the point where we really don't even want you to think about school to a certain point. As long as you're eligible, we don't want you to think about no other degrees, about such as communication or political science or whatever have you. How do you take that in retrospect, and how has that motivated you for your future, knowing that was the situation you were in?
Yeah, I mean, cause I see people. We've been playing ball our whole life, so we know people that chase it for forever. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing that they know, and that's fine. Like, there's no judgment on that at all. But it's just, for me, I understood that once I got into a position where I could not really control or have strong influence over what my situation was, I knew that it was time for me to transition. You know what I mean? And I've been blessed for that, just because, I mean, the first thing I did, just knowing me, to give you a history of what I did when I came back home, because I went to school in California, and then I went to school in Texas. So I moved back to Arizona the end of 2018, December, I believe it was December 21st or something like that. And as soon as I got home, I was already setting up interviews, trying to figure out where I was going to start working. You know what I'm saying? What was my career path going to start looking like? And I tried to start shaping that, Parents didn't help me with that. Nobody, that was just me trying to figure out what was going to go on, because a lot of people get stuck and they stop. They don't know what to do, because their whole identity has been being a football player. You know what I'm saying? And I try to, all my brothers that I'm around, I try to just influence them to understand they don't have to be that way. And a lot of them know that already, but there's a lot of people that get trapped in that mindset. Okay. So when I moved back, first thing I did was get into sales, and that's where I really started to see how all the things that I learned from football really correlated to everything in the real world. You know what I'm saying? Football has taught me, it's allowed me to be with my mindset, I know I'm going to be successful with whatever I put my mind to and whatever I decide to focus on. Getting into sales, just one, being a leader, being able to always have that student mentality, no matter how high up you get, just always understand that you're learning. You know what I mean? Because you can learn from anybody. You can learn from people who know more, people who know less. You're always learning. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to the company, I was working at a marketing firm called Summit, and it was just teaching me everything. I got there and I was excited, because understanding where I'm coming from, I graduated early from school, taking all these classes, and just finished. Well, I didn't even finish grad school yet. I was still completing my master's degree when I moved back. But I'm all I got to do going to this job is go to one class, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's teaching me about business stuff that I'm interested in. So I'm this is a walk in the park. You know what I mean? And all I got to do is talk to people. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It was easy for me. You know what I mean? And I outworked everybody. And shortly, I was top person in that company while I was there. And it is all football. I'm telling you, it's just the discipline, bro. People don't have the same discipline that a lot of people in football have, or other sports, not just football, just sports though in general. Just accountability and understanding that the task that you have is bigger than just yourself. You know what I mean? It's for the whole team. And one the biggest thing from football, having 11 people. You can't have 11 people trying to do 11 jobs. You got to have 11 people trying to do one job. You know what I mean? And that all those different messages that we've learned growing up have all applied to working. And it's just being able to adapt, and that's all it is.
Okay. So my next question and my final question to you, because it's been awesome to interview you, man. Your story's unique. I'm glad that I got an opportunity to get it. My question would be what's next for AJ? What's next for you in life? What's coming up for you?
Yeah. Shoot, that's a question I'm always asking myself. I'm telling you, being in this situation right now with this pandemic, it's affected everybody across the world. So this is the first time in my life where I've been provided the privilege to do nothing right now. You know what I'm saying? For the past 18 years, I've been going to school and playing football. And as soon as I moved home, I started working 60 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have weekends. I was working every day pretty much. And so when March 13th hit, I believe that was the day the NBA shut down, and that's when things got serious. LeBron. I was like, LeBron not getting a ring this year. I was like, oh, they for real? Like this is really a good, like a bad virus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I really started paying attention to that. But working in direct sales and having this virus going on, it just didn't make sense. Especially in Arizona, we have like some of the highest cases in the country right now. Yeah. So looking out for my family, protecting my family, we didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for us in our business because. Actually, my dad and I, we had our own sales business, which was in home fire security, selling like different alarms and water sensors, different things that protect the home. So we ended up closing it down for a while, just because it just didn't make sense. Like I'm not going into people's homes, and it don't matter if I got a mask on and these different things. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't make sense. Because a part of sales is, I mean, like being able to have eye contact and really build that relationship with people. So. That's one of the things that I love to do. So I was like, that's not really, it just doesn't make sense as far as health and safety right now. So I've been able to just be at home and reflect and just doing a lot more reading, and just having time with my sister and my family. A lot of people don't know, like when you're student athletes, you're gone. I was gone for 5 years. I used to come home for a week and try to catch up with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the whole time my little sister is going through high school, you know what I mean? Like learning herself. And just time spent away from your family, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that you don't really get back. So I've been appreciating all the time right now and just being there, just being there.
Yep. Well, AJ, we appreciate you hopping on the channel. Your story is Unclouded, man. You definitely had a unique story, man. We appreciate you hopping on, man, and we look forward to seeing you in some more sessions. So thank you. Appreciate it.